Hi everyone. So once upon a time, there was this little 8-year-old girl in Singapore. She was sitting in her chair in class, waiting for her teacher to give her her report card. And once she got the little green thing, or yellow as the case may be, she opened it and saw. She got 4th in class. 4th in class! She was really excited. She couldn't wait to go back home and tell her folks about it. But the first thing that they said to her when she came back was, "Why didn't you get 1st in class?" She got a good caning that night on her bum. It was not fun. A few years later, when she was 13 in high school, she would find herself every now and then sneaking out of class, or not going to class, and during lesson time going to, instead, the school library to read physics books. You see, she was fascinated in astrophysics, things like black holes, time, gravity, all this cool stuff that she couldn't learn about in regular class. She couldn't wait till she was 17 when she went to pre-university to learn, or she thought that she would get to learn these cool advanced topics. What she didn't expect was that her physics teacher wouldn't be as encouraging as she had hoped. You see, she was this very inquisitive student. She would ask all sorts of questions in class. Why this? Why that? It drove the teacher mad. And he was, well, a regular teacher, a decent guy. But as with many teachers, his priority was to cover the material in time. So he wanted to focus on coming in, doing the class, and leave. He found her to be very annoying and disruptive, and it was not a match made in heaven. That year, she ended up dropping the class, unfortunately. So if you haven't guessed yet, that little girl was me. And many times along the way in my education walk, I sometimes have found myself feeling as if I had a split personality, which is kind of weird and interesting. It was like I fit in, and yet I didn't. Right? I was in this school that was super competitive and selective, and I was always surrounded by brilliant people. But what this meant was also that I was in an environment that was really dynamic, and I loved it. On the other hand, I was kind of frustrated. I didn't like the idea that that your identity, your person, your worth, had to be tied to this grade on your report card, on your exam paper, your score. The stories that I've just told you are anecdotes from my personal history, but these are stories shared by other kids, even today, in different parts of the world. So maybe I was just one part of a larger phenomenon. Could it be? Let's rewind and go back to that high school story. So how did I change my situation from that point on? I was very lucky to have the opportunity to go study overseas. I went to Sydney, Australia, where I did psychology. When I was there, one random day, having a random coffee with random people, I randomly sat in on a discussion about what was a public education project to inform international students and ethnic minorities about their rights on campus in a new country. They asked me, "Do you want to join?" I was like, "Not really." But you must understand, where I come from, I grew up on images of activists being these crazy-eyed, wild-haired, boisterous, obnoxious people who had nothing better to do with their time than to go carrying placards and marching in front of the WTO. So that's why I said no. And funnily enough, a friend of mine kind of persuaded me to give it a shot. I mean, what the hey, just try. And so I did. It started with, the emails and the phone calls. And then before I knew it, I was plastering the campus, being part of this team, with public education posters about stuff that I believed in. I was becoming part of a bigger movement and part of a thing that was bigger than myself. It was really eye-opening to work alongside these young, dynamic, really clever and humble activists who are so passionate and fighting for this cause, not because it would be better for their CV or not because it would give them extra points, because actually sometimes they had to skip class for it. Well, they tried not to, but sometimes it happens. But it was something that they believed in, that drove them to do all this. And that was really special for me, because it reconnected in me something that I once had with physics. That was my physics. When I came back to Singapore, I experienced what they call a reverse culture shock. Right? Because I was considering a possible job or career in the social service sector. And so I told a few friends about it, and these are some of the comments that I got for reals. Why don't you get a real job? Or, but there's no career future in charity work. Maybe the toughest comment was from my family. You got a good degree from a good university, dear. Why are you doing this? Why are you wasting it? But having said all that, I'm thankful for this reverse culture shock and everything that I experienced in Australia, because it taught me two things about my culture that I otherwise wouldn't have had the perspective and the clarity of articulating now. And that's, firstly, a fear of failure, the sense that you should just do the thing that's done. Don't go out of your way to do something to be so different. And the second thing was about having very singular concepts of success. From a young age, we're taught to go to a good school so that you get a good university, so that you go get a good job and get good money. We even have a local slang for it, right? It's the 5 C's. Cash, car, credit card, condominium, and country club membership. Yes, correct. Yes, it's been a while. So, but more significantly, if I didn't give myself that shot, if I didn't let myself try this weird, unknown thing, I would never have discovered something that would be so deeply transformative for me. So my experiences got me thinking about what we might need in our society and in education. If we want our kids, if we want the future generations to have tools of inquiry, good use of human knowledge, and to be fully part of society, then we need to give them the space, to try, to play, to fall down and pick themselves up. And we also need to have broader conceptions of what it is to be okay, to be a decent human being doing your own thing, whatever that may be. In other words, it's about the ability to embrace different ways of being, especially in your vocations and life choices. Now, why is this important? Many times, in many conferences and many motivational talks, tell us, and that includes TED speakers, by the way, that if you want to succeed, you just need to follow your passion. Or maybe not just, but you need to follow your passion. Go with your heart and you'll be okay. And on the deep level, I do believe in that. But clearly, it's not working out for a lot of our young people. It's not that they don't want to, but there is something that is not jiving, not clicking, or holding them back. I'm not sure, right? But apparently, it's not just so straightforward as to follow your heart, and that's it. Yeah, I don't want to sort of step on the toes of people who have talked about passion, because I do sincerely think that that's very important. I also think that this circles back to what I was talking about being able to accept different ways of being and to accept people's different shapes and forms and whatever it is that they come in. If we allow ourselves to be this open, then maybe, just maybe, we might give that implicit permission to our young people that they can use to empower themselves to not be afraid to follow their passion. Let me translate it into something more tangible. And this goes out to the kids and the parents in the audience, but also to everyone else, really. And I'm not going to give you advice, but rather I'm going to give 2 mantras that I will commit to using as much as I can, and I invite you to apply it to your lives where you see fit. First, I will not be afraid to fail. I will give myself the freedom and liberty to try new things, to try the unknowns, and to fall down sometimes. The thing is, you will probably, more often than not, fail. Sometimes you may find out things that you don't like. But if you don't give yourself that chance, then you may never discover that thing that you come to love so much, or that comes to be such a deep part of you, and be as transformative for you as it was for me. The second is, I will celebrate myself. And this is not some kind of, motivational guru. Okay, I mean celebrate understanding yourself. And celebrate that. Because only you can define your own terms of success that make sense to you. Nobody else can do that, because they're not you. Only you are you. I want to leave you with a quote that I came across 2 years ago, which inspired me. It's from Apple's Think Different ad. It's the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world who are the ones that do. Thank you.